Feminism, the advocacy of women's rights on the basis of the equality of the sexes. Most of you probably consider yourself to be feminists. In today's day and age, it seems like a perfectly rational movement, one in which the lack of would set us back decades, over a century even. Feminism has been around just as long as women. For example, there was Hipparchia of Maroneia. She lived in ancient Greece around 300 BCE and defied several norms of Greek culture. As a woman, it was normally unheard of to become a philosopher, which she did. As a woman, it was normally unheard of to attend symposiums, much less contribute thoughts during them, both in which she did. As a woman, it was abnormal to marry for love rather than for social gain, which she did and highly advocated for. As a philosopher, it was abnormal to marry at all, but not only did she fight and succeed in gaining the privilege, she even married another philosopher. Without her advocacy and tendencies to speak out, Hipparchia never would have gained the privileges she did. As a woman, she sought more freedom and gained it through feminism. Mary Wollstonecraft was another woman who fought for women's rights. She lived from 1759 to 1797 and was a strong believer in social and educational equality. She is most famous for her work entitled A Vindication of the Rights of Woman. This work was an expansion on A Vindication of the Rights of Man, which she argued completely disregarded half of the population and therefore contradicted the ideals of progress, individualism, and importance of reason it sought to advocate for. Similarly to Hipparchia, Mary Wollstonecraft advocated to change the marriage system. In its current state, she called it legal prostitution because it was the only way women could gain a secure economic future due to their inadequate education. She believed if women could support themselves, marriage could be based off of friendship and affection rather than for economic interest, and everyone would benefit. Both of these women, and nearly all of the people that likely come to mind when you think of the traditional feminist movements, fought to ensure that women would have freedom to do what they wanted and make sure they would be equal to men. It is for exactly these reasons that modern feminism is stupid. With social media and with modern feminism, there seems to be this idea that you have to be a CEO or in a position of power in order to fully utilize the rights that feminism has achieved for women. It seems modern feminism is throwing away traditional values and seeing them as unworthy. Women can choose to get married. They can choose to be a housewife. If your biggest dream is just to be a mother, that's okay. There are some women who are fulfilled by having a husband and by having children, and it's those same women who I often see ridiculed by people who claim to be feminists. The idea of feminism is not, or at least should not be, to gain power and superiority. It's supposed to be about having the freedom to do whatever you wish, regardless of your gender. This brings me to my next point, superiority. Modern feminism is drifting away from the uplifting of women and is instead pointing towards the degradation of men. Feminists often want to see women in power over men and say things like, or more blatantly, just I hate men. Mary Wollstonecraft once said, I do not wish women to have power over men, but over themselves. I think this is a really important idea that we need to bring ourselves back to. Modern feminism is pulling us in the wrong direction. We should seek to be equal, not better. If women are superior to men, how is that any better than men being superior to women? I've also noticed a bit of creating our own problems. Obviously, not everything is fair, and generally speaking, oppression is not a choice. But in America, I have struggled to come up with the alleged list of things men can do that women cannot. I've watched interviews and podcasts of both men and women being asked this question, and more often than not, they have no answer. I even took it a step further and began to ask some of my friends and family this question. Here are some of the answers I got. I don't know. Maybe a Catholic priest, men can have 2 different chromosomes, and my personal favorite, drive good. These, as easy as it's supposed to be, you'd be surprised at how difficult it is to come up with a good list. I don't want to create my own oppression. Why would we choose to promote a culture that tries to dwell on the oppression of the past rather than embracing the many freedoms women experience today? Modern feminism is stupid, but feminism is not. I love women and I want to fight for women, but I don't want that to mean that I have to hate men. Women should be equal to men, and men should be equal to women. Thank you.